G'day guys, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we are talking about the single leg stiff leg deadlift. Really good option to train your legs unilaterally and making sure that we have an equal amount of strength on the one leg and the other, and that we haven't got an imbalance. Really good for athletes who obviously when they're running they work a lot with the one leg, left to right weaves and dodges and all the rest of that thing, all the rest of that stuff. And obviously for those who are looking to have a nice rounded even physique, unilateral training is always a really good option, and it transfers really well into other big compound exercises such as squats, deads and so on. Okay, so with that being said, what we need to understand about the single leg stiff leg deadlift is that it is an advanced option for your traditional stiff legged deadlift. The reason being obviously is because there's a lot more factors at play. So now you have to worry about balance, you have to worry about execution of the skill on the one particular leg, especially if you have a deficiency in that one particular leg. So it is an advancement on that. So what I'm getting at is that you want to make sure that you have your basic foundation pattern down really well. If you haven't seen the stiff leg deadlift short film or tutorial, shoot across there and have a watch of that. I'm going to quickly go over the top of it now, and a few little tricks and tips for you in order to better that. Okay, so what we want to do with our normal stiff-legged deadlift is that it all starts from our feet. Now the reason being is because if we screw our feet into the ground and have our hips come on, you're going to not transfer load through your lower back. And the reason, and so what I'm getting at here is that when we do our hip hinge pattern, so for those who don't know what a hip hinge pattern is, first of all, this exercise is probably not for you, but second of all, what you want to be doing is you want to be taking your hips back. Now, when we do this, and the reason why I did that just then to this pole is because it's actually a really good teaching technique, and that what you do is you put something behind your backside, take a little step, okay, fantastic, a little step further forward, back, touch, and away you go. And you can see how much I'm loading up my hips and pushing my hips back, and my knees are slightly bent. That is another big cue, and that too many people lock their legs out because they hear the word stiff leg. I really wish they didn't call it that, because it's really it's a bad way to describe this exercise, because you're not stiff leg. You should have a slight bend in your knee. All right, so you see a lot of people, they lock their knees out, they go like this, they come back up, and they wonder why they have all sorts of lower back issues, and also potentially do some serious damage to the hamstring. So what we want to do is we're going to allow a slight bend in the knee. We're going to screw our feet in. With the screwing in, that's a lot of people hear me waffle on a great deal about 3 points of contact in the feet. Okay, and so what we want to do with these 3 points of contact in the feet is that sets our foundation. So if we can set our foundation, it's going to transfer all the way up through our feet into our hips and protect our lower back. So if we come up onto our tippy toes like so, that's point 1 and 2. Okay, if I rock back here onto my heels, that's point 3. Now, in order to create 3 points of contact and to get the hips activated, we need to screw our feet into the ground. Another way to think about this is as if I put newspaper underneath your feet, and I'm going to get you to rip the newspaper apart. So you're going to feel that the weight is going to be transferred to the outsides of your feet, and you're also going to create high arches. It's very common for people to cramp in those high arches, especially those who aren't used to the 3 points of contact. So if you cramp, that's okay, bear with it, get better at it, and you'll reap a lot of reward from it. So you're going to screw your feet in, and it's going to feel as if point 2, which is in line with your pinky toes, and point 3, which is your heels, are going to all be in contact, because all the weight's going to be transferred to the outside of the feet, and point 1 is just going to be a fixed point that's going to create your arches. Right, so when you screw your feet in, what's going to happen here is that your glutes are going to come on, okay? It's going to transfer all the way up into your backside. If you're not feeling in your backside, just screw your feet in even harder and you'll feel your backside come on. When we go down into this position here, you're going to feel your hamstrings get a nice, what we call loaded, okay, or a nice stretch. They're going to become loaded and we're only going to go down as far as our hamstrings will permit. Now, the reason why we don't want to go that little extra bit is because you can see that when I'm in this position here, my glutes and my hamstrings are really strong, really tight, okay, and they have that load. What we don't want to occur is we don't want to round off and create what we call spinal flexion there. Okay, now all that load that we have in our hands is going to be transferred to our lower back, and we're going to have to not only rake that up, but then come through with the hips after that. All right, so these are a few things to watch out for. Now, if you struggle to get your hips back, a really good trick is to use a band like so. All right, not only can you touch your backside on the rack or any sort of thing that is pushed behind you, but you can whack yourself in this band here, take a few steps out, hips go out, because this is going to pull you back. Okay, really, really good technique to get your hip pattern going again. Okay, so that there is your normal traditional stiff leg deadlift. All right, let's discuss now the single leg. Well, the single leg is just an advanced option for this particular lift. So we're going to go through the exact same processes, but all we're going to do is we're going to have one leg raised off the ground. So when we do our single leg or our normal traditional stiff leg deadlift, we also want to make sure that we have our shoulder blades pinned back and down, because if we can control our upper body, we create a nice stiff board, and the only thing that's moving now is our hips. Okay, that's the only thing we need to worry about. So when we are holding, say, dumbbells or a barbell or a kettlebell, when we do this particular exercise, okay, we're going to be pinned in, locked in, nice and tight up top, and then all we need to worry about is our leg coming out. So let's go through exactly how we would perform this. We're going to screw our feet into the ground, okay, and I'm going to be using the left leg. This right leg isn't as screwed in. I'm going to be pulling my shoulder blades back and down, and you can do one or two options here. You can have this right leg just resting on the ground as a bit of stability for yourself, okay, and you can come down like so and come back up and really load up this hip, okay, again. So just little staggered stance, up and come back up. That is one particular option. Another option, if you're not quite great with your balance, is you can use an object, whether it be the rack or whether it be a broomstick, or in this particular case it's one of the catches for the rack. All right, exactly the same thing, shoulder blades pinned back and down. We'll use a dumbbell for the working leg. Okay, same hand, same leg. All right, and then we're just going to push one leg out nice and long, come back up, squeeze through with the hip. Okay, again, down, up and in. Okay, and then obviously you can go with just the option of taking one leg out. So I don't know how well this is going to go because of everything that's behind me, but take one leg out, load up this leg, nice and slow on the contraction, and then come back up. It's a poor example, but we'll go again. Okay, out and in, just like that. One more variant to this is you can actually screw your feet in, take a step out, place your foot back, and then come back through, bang. Okay, so again, load up, touch, bang. As again, that was a poor example because I don't know what's behind me, but you can understand, you can see this progression. Now, would I go straight into this? Not at all. Again, it's the advanced option. But say that I have progressed past just doing a normal traditional stiff leg deadlift. How would I progress if I haven't quite got the stability? Well, I would look at using, firstly, just something to hold yourself on. Okay, I'm not the biggest advocate for a foot down in this position. A lot of people like to use that. I just find, especially if you start getting into those heavier sets, that this leg might start coming into effect. There's no science behind that. It's just a personal thing with me. So I would advocate holding something out in front and coming out nice and long like so, rather than say having a foot in here. But if that foot works for you, then you can use that, and then obviously make your natural progressions to the dumbbell. Now you can use, if you start to get excessively large in the weight whilst holding something, that's perfectly fine, okay? But there is an option there for maybe take the weight back, let go of this now because you're probably ready to take that next step and be able to control your body weight rather than having to rely upon a stationary fixed object to keep your balance. But again, balance is a different game altogether. So, all right, team, that there is the stiff leg deadlift. I hope you picked up a few tricks and tips here for at least your traditional stiff leg deadlift, and then also hopefully a few ways to advance your single leg stiff leg deadlift. Take care, guys, and see you in the next tutorial.